If you're hearing this, something inside you already crossed an invisible line. You felt it. That shift, that quiet knowing your mind couldn't name yet. Most people never notice. They're too busy proving, performing, surviving. But you caught it. And that puts you in the 0.1% who recognize when the universe confirms graduation. Breathe. Feel the silence between the sounds right now. That space? That's not emptiness. That's the field responding to your frequency. Here's what nobody told you. Life was never testing your intelligence or your willpower. It was testing coherence. Every challenge, every loss, every moment you thought would break you. They were revealing how you handle energy. Do you collapse into chaos? Or do you hold your frequency steady even when the world around you doesn't? I used to think I needed to understand everything, to have all the answers, to prove I belonged. The turning point came the day I stopped performing and started sustaining an internal state even when nobody was watching. No audience, no validation, just me holding alignment because it was true. That's when everything changed. Think of it like a sound equalizer. Doesn't matter if you memorize every lyric if your internal volume is distorted. Coherence is finding the right level, clear signal, clean transmission. And when you get it right, the field hears you differently. In this video, you'll discover the exact signals of graduation, how your body activates as an antenna, why every challenge had hidden purpose, the 5 patterns of mastery emerging now, and how to live this without effort or burnout. If these signs are already touching your life, the test is over. Let's name them. You've noticed it, haven't you? Your body speaks before your mind catches up. That tingling in your hands, the temperature shifting for no reason, time stretching or collapsing when you truly relax. This isn't imagination. It's your body operating as an antenna, capturing frequency and transmitting consciousness into the field around you. Think of your DNA as internal Wi-Fi. When the password's wrong, fear, control, tension, you're offline, forcing connections that won't flow. But when your emotional state aligns, everything syncs on its own. Manifestations appear. Doors swing open, the right people call out of nowhere. I was washing dishes on an ordinary afternoon, hands in warm water, mind empty. Suddenly, I lost track of time. Could have been 2 minutes or 20. I felt an internal click, a door opening in my chest. Without effort, the complete solution to an old problem I'd carried for months arrived ready, clear, obvious. Your body doesn't lie. It knows when you're in coherence before your brain processes it. That strong signal feeling in certain decisions, that weight in your stomach when something's out of alignment, these are refined somatic compasses. You just need to stop for 20 seconds, scan from feet to head, and ask, where's the signal strongest right now? When you learn to read these signals, something shifts. The body becomes a bridge between intention and reality, between thought and dense matter. And then you realize the challenges that seem to block your life were actually recalibrating your antenna. What's coming next will show you why every loss had an invisible purpose. What if I told you that betrayal saved your life? Not metaphorically. Literally rerouted your timeline away from a crash you couldn't see coming. Every loss you've lived through wasn't punishment or bad luck. It was frequency adjustment, realigning your consciousness with a field of possibilities you weren't ready to access before. Forgiveness isn't about being nice or spiritual. It's physics. When you hold resentment, you're locked to an old frequency, vibrating with what hurt you. The moment you release it, not for them, for you, your field shifts, coherence returns, and new paths light up. You're not condoning anything. You're recalibrating your antenna to receive what's actually meant for you. The biggest betrayal of my life felt like the end of everything. I couldn't eat, couldn't think straight, couldn't see past the pain. But that rupture reorganized my entire itinerary. Without it, I never would have met the people who now anchor my purpose. Never would have discovered capacities I didn't know I had. The detour wasn't random. It was surgical precision disguised as chaos. Think of it like GPS recalculating your route. You miss the turn, or someone blocked the road and the system reroutes instantly. That detour avoided an invisible traffic jam, an accident 20 miles ahead, a timeline where you'd still be stuck. The pain you felt was the system updating, not breaking down. Try this right now. Ask yourself, where did it hurt most and what did that pain free you from? Name one thing, out loud if you're alone, that your hardest loss brought you closer to. Maybe it's a person, a skill, a truth about yourself you couldn't see before. That's not consolation. That's the new pattern emerging, stable and aligned. And from this reconfiguration, something unexpected rises. Patterns of mastery you didn't know were possible. When you stop pushing and start allowing, something bizarre happens. Results show up faster, cleaner, without the exhausting grind you thought was required. This is coherent manifestation. Your consciousness aligned with the field, drawing outcomes toward you instead of chasing them. You're not passive, you're magnetic. Then comes knowledge by resonance. You know things before you research them. Insights arrive complete like downloads from a frequency you've tuned into. You meet someone and instantly sense their story, their struggle, their next step. Not because you're psychic, but because your consciousness is accessing information beyond your individual mind. The field speaks when you're aligned enough to listen. You start testing futures by feeling them. One option makes your chest expand in 2 seconds. Another closes your throat, tightens your stomach. That's navigating probabilities, sensing which timeline feels lighter, more coherent, more true. You don't need spreadsheets or pros and cons lists anymore. Your body tells you which road is yours. Relationships shift too. Drama dissolves. Toxic patterns fall away without confrontation. The right people converge around you like iron filings to a magnet, not because you're performing or trying harder, but because your frequency changed. This is coherent relationship orchestration. You're no longer attracting from need. You're resonating from wholeness. And here's the one that changes everything. Your gifts stop being about you. When I finally focused on serving instead of proving, invitations and resources cascaded in. Projects I'd forced for years suddenly had momentum. Talents I'd hidden became offerings the world needed. Power oriented toward service operates automatically. No ego theatrics, no exhausting hustle. You become a channel, and the field flows through you. Now, practical question. How do you live this daily without it becoming some impossible mission? You don't need to force anything anymore. Living at mastery level means you become a stabilizer. Your presence alone reorders environments. Walk into a tense room and watch what happens. No speeches, no intervention. Within minutes, people breathe deeper, voices soften, coherence spreads. You're transmitting frequency, and the field around you responds. I walked into a meeting once thick with conflict and unspoken resentment. I didn't say a word for the first 3 minutes. I just sat, centered, breathing slow. The tone dropped. Shoulders relaxed. The conversation that had been stuck for an hour suddenly moved forward. I wasn't doing anything. I was being a tuning fork, and everyone around me synchronized without realizing it. Think of yourself as the master metronome.
One steady metronome in a room full of chaotic ticking clocks will, over time, bring them all into rhythm. You're not arguing for your tempo. You're simply holding your alignment so clearly that others feel it and entrain naturally. That's responsibility without effort. Not controlling, just anchoring. Here's your daily practice. 3 checkpoints. Morning. 1 minute of presence, just feeling your body. Midday. 1 sentence of intention, spoken or written.
Evening. 1 long breath to adjust whatever slipped. That's it. No complex rituals, no hour-long meditations. You're maintaining coherence, not chasing enlightenment. And here's what nobody tells you. You'll start feeling echoes of other consciousness operating at this level. A subtle resonance, like recognizing a frequency you share. You're part of a global network now, invisible but real, reinforcing the field together. When enough of us stabilize, the whole system shifts. And when that happens, you realize something profound. The journey isn't linear anymore. You don't need to force anything anymore. Living at mastery level means you become a stabilizer. Your presence alone reorders environments. Walk into a tense room and watch what happens. No speeches, no intervention. Within minutes, people breathe deeper. Voices soften. Coherence spreads. You're transmitting frequency, and the field around you responds. This isn't power over others. It's alignment so clear that chaos naturally settles around you. I walked into a meeting once thick with conflict and unspoken resentment. You could cut the tension with a knife. I didn't say a word for the first 3 minutes. I just sat, centered, breathing slow, feeling my feet on the ground. The tone dropped, shoulders relaxed. People who'd been interrupting each other started listening. The conversation that had been stuck for an hour suddenly moved forward, solutions appearing where there'd only been blame. I wasn't doing anything. I was being a tuning fork, and everyone around me synchronized without realizing it. Think of yourself as the master metronome in a room full of chaotic ticking clocks. One steady metronome will, over time, bring them all into rhythm without forcing, without arguing for its tempo. You're simply holding your alignment so clearly that others feel it and entrain naturally. That's responsibility without effort, not controlling outcomes, just anchoring a frequency. The field does the rest. Here's your daily practice, and it's simpler than you think. 3 checkpoints. Morning. 1 minute of presence, just feeling your body, noticing where consciousness lands today. Midday. 1 sentence of intention, spoken quietly or written in your phone. Evening. 1 long breath to adjust whatever slipped out of alignment during the day. That's it. No complex rituals, no hour-long meditations, no crystals or ceremonies required. You're maintaining coherence like tuning an instrument, not chasing some distant enlightenment. And here's what nobody tells you until you experience it yourself. You'll start feeling echoes of other consciousnesses operating at this level. A subtle resonance like recognizing a frequency you share with someone you've never met. You're part of a global network now, invisible, but absolutely real, reinforcing the field together. Some call it the 0.1%. Others don't name it at all. They just feel the hum. When enough of us stabilize, the whole system shifts. Not through revolution or force, but through coherent transmission. You become what Rupert Sheldrake called a morphic field anchor. Your state influences the collective probability cloud. Every time you choose alignment over reaction, you're voting for a timeline where more people wake up easier, faster, with less suffering. Pick a project you're working on right now. Close your eyes for 2 seconds and feel into 2 different approaches. Which one expands your chest? Which one tightens your throat? That lighter sensation, that's your navigation system pointing toward the coherent path. Follow that piste, that trail your body's already sensing. You don't need 10 opinions or market research. You need 2 seconds of honest feeling. This is how you operate now. Not from logic alone, not from fear or scarcity, but from a calm, clear knowing that arises when your consciousness is aligned with the larger field of information. Decisions feel easier. Synchronicities multiply. People say you've changed, but they can't name what's different. You just feel steadier, more real, more here. And when that happens, you realize something profound. The journey isn't linear anymore. It's circular, fractal, recursive. Every ending loops back to a new beginning. Every challenge reveals itself as initiation. Every loss is recalibration. You're not climbing towards something. You're expanding into what you've always been, remembering a frequency you never actually forgot. So here we are. The journey ends where it began, consciousness observing itself. Silent, awake, complete. You didn't need to become someone new. You needed to remember what you've always been. The threshold is open and you're already on the other side. If you felt this in your body, that click, that hum, that moment where time stretched and everything made sense, welcome to the 0.1%. Not because you're special or chosen, but because you stayed awake long enough to notice what most people sleep through. You stopped pushing. You started allowing. And the field responded. Now the real question, what are you going to do with this? Will you let it integrate or will you dismiss it and slip back into old patterns? Because this moment right here is your choice point. You can anchor this frequency and live from it, or you can forget and spend another year searching for what you've already found. So here's what I need you to do. Drop a comment below and tell me, what was your clearest signal of graduation? The moment your body knew before your mind caught up. Share it. Anchor it. Make it real by naming it out loud. If this resonated, hit that like button. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next transmission. We're going deeper into dimension shifting, timeline navigation, and the practices that stabilize mastery. This is just the beginning. You're not alone in this. You're part of a global network now, holding coherence together. And when enough of us stabilize, everything shifts. See you in the next one.